Honorable Rider.
Thank you, Chairperson. Thank you, Minister, for the answer. I've got some pictures here that shows. This is Bopilong Hospital in Mahikeng Northwest with someone lying on the floor. This is Tembisa Hospital in Gauteng. Again, somebody lying on the floor awaiting treatment. Now, the fact is that this is a common occurrence, that people are lying on the floor. And yet, in May this year, and here's the interesting photograph, this photo went viral of 1,000 beds that were stacked outside the Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital in Gauteng, after they had been replaced with better versions in that particular hospital. Now, they'd been sitting outside in the weather for just over 6 months. 675 of those beds were still in a usable condition, and we know this because after the media attention, the MEC was forced to do something and donated 675 beds, mostly to NGOs. The remaining 325 beds had deteriorated because they'd been left in the elements. And the question, therefore, is, couldn't these have been used better in rural hospitals? Why? Okay, so here's the real question. Why is there not an adequate disposal plan? Because it just talks to management of assets. And when will you implement that National Disposal Register so that this shocking level of wastage won't happen again? Thank you.
Minister.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member. I think it's quite unfortunate that you will find instances where, because of the shortage of beds, some patients might be lying on the floor. That situation is something that we will have to work on and ensure that it gets resolved. In the history of our hospitals, the problem has always been that there are hospitals where you can't do anything. If there are more people who are sick, you have to take them in irrespective of the conditions in the hospital. And this is something that professional nurses, doctors will tell you, it's one of the most difficult frustrations to manage, where you have more people that need to be admitted, and yet in the ward the others are so sick you can't discharge them. So that tends to be one of the problems. However, in the specific cases, it's something that we'll have to just follow and check what actually happened on the specific cases. In regards to the beds that were disposed of, and as you were saying that some of them were in usable conditions, it's something that one would have to just follow up and see and check what's happening. Earlier on, when the matter arose, which was probably previous term, it seems the argument had been about whether the beds were, if they were moved from one hospital, were they suitable to be passed on to other hospitals. So in other words, if a hospital could say, we don't want these beds because 1, 2, 3 reasons they are not suitable, is it fair to give it to another hospital when you have already condemned their functionality? And so I think that was one of the issues that was a debate. What I would agree with is that whatever the situation is, there has to be a clear disposal plan. There has to be a way of ensuring that the assets do not waste and deteriorate because of weather elements. And it has to be something that we have to check what is it that's made the process to take that long. That is something that we can follow up.